Can a solo agent compete with what a team or a team agent offers? Wow. I know I'm gonna get a lot of opinions about this video, but you guys, we need to talk about what's going on in the industry. And quite honestly, with this topic, I'm a little puzzled as to why there's not a little bit more talk about that. But my goal in this video today is to really shed some light on the solo agent model versus the team agent model. And if you're a solo agent, don't stop watching, because I'm going to share a lot of things that are going to help you grow your business. So with that, we're going to get started here. I am John Foster. I help realtors and team leaders become #1 in their marketplaces. There has been a lot of talk about what is going on with teams. I don't know about you, but I can tell you, I see teams popping up everywhere. And I'm just going to ask you, do you notice the same thing happening in your market? My answer is, or your answer, is probably going to be yes, because it is definitely happening. 20 years ago when I got my license, there were absolutely teams. I don't want to make this video sound like, oh my gosh, these teams just popped up yesterday, like they weren't here before. Teams have always been around, but with the industry consolidating and a lot of agents looking to align with basically volume that they can tap into to leverage, whether it be open houses or leads, mentorship, leadership, you're seeing more and more teams, #1. And #2, you're seeing a lot of teams that have been existing in a marketplace suddenly start to grow. So we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about the advantage if you're a solo agent on what you can do if you don't have a team, bringing some systems and some help in place in your business so that you can start competing with teams. I remember going on interviews, and this was probably some scripting that a lot of the quote unquote gurus were telling a solo agent when a seller says, hey, I interviewed 3 other agents and 2 of them had big teams and a lot of support. And the script for the solo agent was, you don't want to hire a team, because what's going to happen is, you guys know what I'm about to say, they're going to get engaged and you're going to hire that team agent, and then they're going to disappear and you're just going to deal with their support people. I want to ask you guys a question about different professionals that you deal with in your life. Say a doctor, a lawyer, your attorney, a financial planner, insurance agent, contractors. You guys kind of get the idea. I want you to think of all of those trades. And I want to think of any of those trades you currently work with or have worked with in the past. And I'm going to guess that most of those or all of those service providers had a team of support around them that you really viewed as like a value and a benefit. So think about that for a second. What if you were going to remodel your entire house? Let's say it's a large home and you interview 2 contractors, and one of them, it's like one guy and his truck and his tools, and that's it. And the other one is a team. You've got a project manager, you've got a superintendent, you've got people that are in charge of managing the materials. You've got the general who's managing all those people. Wouldn't you feel more comfortable? That's a big job. It's a lot of responsibility to trust with one person. So think about that, and let's tie this back into real estate. How is it different for real estate agents? Think of all the things. I'm not going to put the list on the screen here to show, but you guys, how many tasks do we have when we list a home for sale or we represent a buyer? It's a long list. Would you guys agree? So it goes back to the same concept of, wouldn't the client be better served with a team of support around them? Let's talk about broker owners for a minute. This is an interesting topic, and full disclosure, Leslie and I were broker owners. We had our own brokerage. We've been there, done that. It is tough, you guys. It is tough to maintain the profit margins. Agents right now are expecting either a lot of value, or they're just providing, or they're expecting basically support, and it's going to be at a much higher split. So I hate to call it the race to the bottom, but if for any of you broker owners out there that might be watching this, just be very careful about that race to the bottom. And if you are a broker owner, and again, I've been in your shoes before, think of the value you're providing your agents, and there's obviously going to be a split that is in direct relation to the value you're providing. So it's back to that old saying again, in the absence of value, cost becomes an issue. No different for you broker owners. Some broker owners are starting their own teams, and there's 2 versions of that. One of them is a hybrid. They own a brokerage. They've got agents that are simply agents at the brokerage, but also within that brokerage, they're also running a team. So why is that? It's really because they're recognizing that their profit margins are really, really difficult to maintain without that team model, right? The agents, maybe the production's gone down. We know that the last couple of years has been challenging for agents. Production just in general is down. So they're recognizing that having a team inside of that brokerage is going to bring up their production. It's going to bring up the value that they're providing their clients. And ultimately, it's going to bring up and help their profit margin. So you're seeing a lot of that there. The consolidation of business to third-party companies. So what do I mean by that? So huge companies, let's just throw Zillow out there, the big Z word, as probably the best example this that everybody's familiar with as a household name. The good example of leverage and power of these relationships, I'll use my team as a perfect example. These third-party relationships, we have many of them. Like I said, I'm just using Zillow as one example because everybody knows how Zillow works. Those big relationships for our team will be responsible for over 150 transactions alone. These relationships primarily, not exclusively, but for the most part, are invitation only that simply want to align with large teams. Now, why is that? They're not saying that there's solo agents that are not good or solo agents in your marketplace that are selling 50 homes a year that would not do a good job, but it's a volume model. The fear that these big third-party companies have is if they flood the solo agent that's successful because they are selling 50 homes a year and they may have an admin or they may have some support people around that to do that type of production. But all of a sudden, if they get flooded with, let's just say 50 leads a month, the fear of these third-party companies is that solo agent simply can't handle that type of volume. So what's happening with much of this is it's a zero upfront cost model, again, for most of them, not all of them, and they are flooding large teams like ours and many others with hundreds of leads a month because large teams can support that. And then there's a referral fee paid on the back end. So it allows large teams to kind of manage their overhead a little bit better and then be able to, pay that referral fee on the back end, build market share. And that's why you see large teams taking over a lot of market share in their specific city. So I'm happy to answer more questions on that. You guys just feel free to book a call with me anytime and we can expand on some of the relationships I have and if they're available in your market and how you might be able to leverage them. This is a big one, you guys. And for you solo agents, I really do want to talk to you and thank you for watching because I want to talk about some things that you can do to implement into your business so that you can, I would say, compete at some of the same levels that teams can do. But let's start first with the 7 components of what I believe are effective lead conversion. Number 1 is obviously your marketing and advertising, okay? Whatever campaigns that you're running, you need them. I was taught many years ago, the point of marketing is to generate a response. So hopefully your marketing is generating a response, and that's the whole point of it. Number 2, it should be inside sales. There should be some component of an inbound lead comes in and they're responded to quickly. The challenge I see with solo agents is if you're on a listing appointment, if you're at an inspection, you're meeting an appraiser, a lead comes into your email, you might not know about it until 3 or 4 hours later. It might be too late. So some component of inside sales, that can be outsourced, right? There's different companies you can outsource inside sales to if you don't have your own inside sales department. Number 3 is technology systems. There should be some component. We use Follow Up Boss, and there's a lot of automations that we put in there. There's some plugins that we put in there so that leads come in. I mean, believe it or not, some of the leads come in at like 3 o'clock in the morning. You could have the best inside sales team in the world. They're probably all sleeping. So there should be some component of automation that if they come in during certain business hours, there's an automated response that comes in. Outside sales. So what are outside sales? Well, that's the agents on your team. That's maybe an admin that you have. It's some, I would say, entity person inside of your group, not necessarily outside, that is going to be the boots on the ground, if you will. Like, hey, received your call to look at the property on 123 ABC Street. Can I meet you there tomorrow at noon? Right? It's the people actually doing the face-to-face. The listing and buyer experience coordination is absolutely huge. We're generating the leads from our advertising. The inside sales team is following up. The outside sales is booking an appointment, right? We're meeting them. So now we get them in escrow. What is the experience they're going to have? We've got listing coordinators. We've got transaction coordinators. We have a client experience team because if we can keep them happy and excited about giving us a 5-star review, inviting them to client events, they're going to repeat doing business with us, giving us referrals, et cetera, et cetera. You guys definitely get the point. Talked about transaction coordination. That's all part of the listing and selling experience. That transaction coordination department is huge. We have it in-house here, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have if you want to leave a comment below about what the advantages of transaction coordination in-house is versus doing it with a contract person. Lastly, to tie this all together, the real business that you're going to create for yourself is going to be one that gives you repeat business and referrals. Well, how do we do that? We've got to talk to our database 4 times a year. Well, geez, John, that's a lot. What do I say? What if am I supposed to call them just 4 times a year and just ask how they're doing? Well, that's one way. The way that we've felt has been pretty effective is what we call our client appreciation programs. So we do 4 a year. Once a quarter, you can invite them to one of your client events. We do an amazing barbecue. We bring a big barbecue out in the parking lot here, barbecue pit master, fun and games, different things for kids to do, activities. We had a fire truck last time, and we just simply invite them to these events. We do a family movie night where we rent the movie theater out, which is an awesome event. And it's an opportunity just to say hello to everybody, get some popcorn, watch a movie. We do Thanksgiving pies and photos with Santa. Those are 4 event just examples for you guys. Future videos will talk about how these events run, what we do to invite them, the whole back end planning and inviting, so that you can have a successful client event. And that's really the 7 components we believe are super valuable and effective to keeping your business running. So this is another hot topic here amongst solo agents versus teams, and it comes down to running your business with a healthy P&L. So we all look at our profit and loss, and if you don't, you should be. But as a solo agent, the challenge I see with a lot of solo agents when they're competing against teams is what they're offering. And this is the part that I hear that's talked about the least. And I'm just going to tell you my personal experience. I try to leave the opinions out of this and just go back to what am I seeing and what am I hearing in the marketplace from consumers. And I can tell you that overwhelmingly over the past few years, consumers, because there's 2 different sides of this, you guys, right? There's what our industry talks about, and there's what consumers talk about. And consumers, I can tell you firsthand, they are wanting to work with teams. I'm not talking just team leaders and the top listing agent on the team. I'm talking about you could be a newer agent and you should be leveraging the power of the team that you're on. Why is that? I can tell you just what I've heard, what I'm being told from our clients is they recognize that a team is able to perform at much higher levels and provide a higher level of service and a better experience than a solo agent have. A lot of these systems, the technology that we use, the support, the listing coordinator, the in-house transaction coordination department, all of the things that work together that are more than one person than just a solo agent, consumers are recognizing that they're going to get a better experience from working with a team. And I think what they're realizing, and I'm pretty sure that I'm right just based on the feedback, is they're questioning the commission that they're being charged on the listing side from the solo agent, where they're just getting so much more from the team agent. We're not going to get into commissions on this video, but I would say very oftentimes for the same cost. They'll gladly pay for the service knowing that the service fee is for the entire company and getting access to all of that. If you like what you're learning, please drop a comment below, like and subscribe for more valuable content. And if you want more of an in-depth conversation with Leslie and I, book a call at the link below. We'd love to chat with you. So you independent brokers out there, you are my friend because I was an independent broker, and it was one of the most exciting steps I took in my business. I remember just taking the leap, and I'm in California here, and we have salesperson's license and we have broker's license. And I told my wife, Leslie, I go, I'm going to get my broker's license. And she said, why? And I said, because, I do believe that's the next step of growth. And I think if you're anything like me, you're always looking to climb the ladder. What's next? How can I take my business to the next level? How can I provide more value to my clients, to my community, to the agents that I'm with, whatever it may be? So I commend you for doing that. It's taking a huge risk. It's a leap of faith. You're a leader. You're an entrepreneur, and you absolutely desire more for your business. So let's talk about a little bit of what is happening with independent brokerages right now. And again, we talked a little bit about earlier in this video how the profit margins are really getting squeezed down because most brokerages, again, not all, but most brokerages are not operating a team. It's a brokerage. They're not providing leads to the agents. There are tools. There is training. There is support. Obviously, whatever brokerage you're running, you're going to see all of those components being offered at different levels and at different magnitudes. I think it's directly equivalent to the splits that the broker owner is charging the agent. What I see most commonly is the split to the agent keeps getting higher and higher and higher. And at some point, and this is important, the risk doesn't keep getting lower, lower, and lower. So for you broker owners out there, I love you, But what's happening to your business right now, if you're not operating either a team model or as the brokerage, you're providing massive value, typically in the form of some amount of leads and the support around it to convert those leads. Again, I hate to use that phrase race to the bottom, but the split to the agent keeps getting higher and higher, but your risk doesn't diminish. And so what's happening, and this is my 8th year with eXp Realty, and I'm going to use eXp Realty as an example. There's other models out there that allow a broker owner to basically eliminate all of the risk, all of the things that they don't like. Again, I'm in California. We've got a lot of compliance reporting to do with the Department of Real Estate. Probably in most states, it's very similar. Obviously, California is just known for just a high level of compliance. It's not a bad thing, but it is something we've got to deal with as a broker owner. And when I looked at this model 8 years ago, the person that called me said, well, John, you should look at this model. And first thing out of my mouth goes, well, why would I do that? It's like taking a step backwards. I already own my own brokerage. And he goes, well, you don't understand. This is going to give you all of the things that you love about being a broker owner. It's going to let you keep all of that, and it's going to take away all of the risk, all of the liability, all of the headaches that you don't like. And then this is what he said, and he got me, and he was smart. He said, are you open-minded enough to take a look at the model? Well, I'm not going to say no. I'm too closed-minded to look at that. I appreciated that he said that to me. So I took a look at the model, and it made a ton of sense. So that is why this company has grown so much, is broker owners are recognizing that. And in the climate that we've been operating in the last especially year, the main reason is risk. Shifting the risk to a large corporate entity such as eXp Realty with a very large legal team, very smart legal minds, E&O insurance that falls on the corporate entity and not the individual is a big deal. It's a huge value add. And the most exciting thing for Leslie and I in operating our team, it really just has allowed us to do what we love. I love running my team. I love coaching agents. I love looking at an agent's business and say, where are you struggling right now? What things can we do to help support you, to help grow you, to get you to those goals that you wrote out earlier in the year that you want to be at? That's what I'm good at. That's what you're good at. So that's what we're going to see happening. My prediction is in the next 5 years, we will see the largest shift of independent brokers aligning with big brokerages like eXp Realty than we ever have before. So again, if you're a broker owner out there, I would love to talk to you. And again, it's simply an exploratory call just to learn about the things that you love doing, learn about the things that you don't love doing, and see if there are ways that you can take all the things that you love from running your brokerage and two things. Number one, look at merging your brokerage into a corporate entity such as eXp Realty. That would be number one. Number two, I would love to talk to you more about if you're purely a brokerage, what would it look like for you to do either a hybrid where you keep certain agents that are just like agents on your roster that are more independent, but then you've got another group of agents on your roster or agents you want to build and recruit and add to your roster to operate that team model, and how you can really drastically improve your profitability, because that is a massive step, in my opinion, that the market is shifting towards that you'd either want to get ahead of or have that on your radar in the near future. For my solo agent friends, so I want to talk to you about how you can really turn your business around if you're feeling some of the pressure of competing with big teams in your market. And I know this is a very real thing in my market, and it's got to be a real thing in your market. If it's not, I'm glad you're watching this video because I want to prepare you. It's going to be a big thing. You're going to see big teams forming around your market, and you're going to see them really taking advantage of the leverage of the third-party companies that are going to start flooding them with business. And the whole point, and it's just to ask you a question in regards to running your business, how do you compete with that? So it all comes down to the value you provide. So if you've got a back-end support system, the value you can provide can be massive, but I want to see you put steps in place in your business today that are going to start moving you in the direction of being able to talk to primarily sellers about how you're going to compete with these large teams. And it's really going to revolve around the system that you have supporting what it is that your value proposition is to your seller. If your value proposition is, renovation or staging or consultation when it comes to going through reports and disclosures, it takes hours and hours and hours. Hiring a listing coordinator may be a great next step for you. I really don't know what your business looks like, so I'd be very interested if you book a call with me that we can do a deep dive into the structure of your business right now, or your org chart, as we like to call it. And I would love to help you try to identify your next best hire. fact, Leslie and I are going to film a video next week all about how we started a team from scratch. So if you're a solo agent, I highly encourage you to subscribe to our channel, watch that video, because I'll be honest, I was one of those agents that was doing pretty well, working with, it was really just Leslie and I, as we hired some very small amount of back-end help. We didn't have like 20 people. And we said, we don't want to start a team. Well, what happens with most successful solo agents, as you become more successful, what happens? The phone starts to ring more leads start coming in. You're working more, no days off. You get anybody could relate to me on that? You find yourself working just about every single weekend. And I remember one of our coaches saying, because we basically said, gosh, we're feeling burned out. And she says, you know what you need to do? And Leslie's like, no, don't tell me. She goes, you need to start a team. So we are going to dive deep into starting a team from scratch on the next video that we do. I'm really excited to lay all that out. Thank you again for learning all about how teams can compete with solo agents and how solo agents can compete with teams. There is a difference. I just want to say it's not that one is better than the other. I just think it's a good thing to be very aware right now of what's going on in our marketplace, and just make sure you're adapting. So I hope you found the content valuable today. I'd love to see you go out into your marketplaces and win to become number one.